Hello, YouTube friends. My name is Constance and this is Cruelty Free Musings. Welcome back to my makeup collection series. Today, we are going to be tackling mostly base products, but I'm going to start with one random thing that it kind of fits into the categories that I've already done, but I didn't include it in those things. And that is my one official, like my officially brow thing. So this is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Beauty Express for brows and eyes. It comes with a little miniature 15. I do really like this brush. It's dirty, it really needs cleaned. The things in here that I use are this wax. You can see that I use this wax, and this dark brown, because this kit is in blonde. Now, why did I think that I needed a blonde kit? I don't know. I probably would have been better off with taupe, because it turns out that this shade actually is a little bit too warm for me. So I am probably going to pass this on to a friend at some point. Yeah, it's a good product, but I don't need either of these shadows. I have my own blender shade and my own highlight shades, and I am not going to put a sparkly shadow under my brow bone. I just don't feel the need. And then I use one half of the brow powders and the brow wax. It's just not something that really has a place in my collection, but it's here currently, so I might as well show you for the moment. Oof. Oh, that was my micellar water. It is very filmy now. Alright, moving on to primers. I'm only showing you things that are open, also actively in use. So I have a couple of things that are going to go into rotation later, and I'll mention them, but I'm not going to show them. So this is the Hourglass Veil Mineral Primer. It is, it's a very good primer. It makes things last significantly longer than they would on their own. I have a mini size because I don't use primer every day. Because if I'm just using concealer in the center of my face and not foundation, that usually lasts well enough with just powder over the top of it that I don't feel the need to have the long-lasting primer. This is the Becca First Light Priming Filter. It is a semi-glowy, semi-hydrating primer. I really like it under matte foundations. It made, in particular, the Tarte's Tinted BB Primer tolerable to use up. I cannot tell how much of this I've actually used up. It feels really empty. But I think I'm down to about there. I would consider getting a full size of this. It's a really nice primer. It smells lemony. I like the scent of it. And if I want, like if I put on my sunscreen and then I feel like I need a little bit more of a hydrating, glowy boost to my skin before I put on makeup, this is what I reach for. So I have a long-lasting primer and like a base fixing, like a skin hydrating sort of glowy primer. And those are my two primers. I don't see this changing anytime soon because like I have used the NYX Angel Veil primer, which a lot of people say is a dupe for the Veil Mineral primer. I didn't use up the whole thing, but in my experience, it was not impressive. It didn't have a long-lasting grippy effect to it. So, like, I don't think that there are drugstore products that actually dupe these two products. So, I'm probably just going to rebuy those once I use them up. Probably in full size, but we will see. And then this is the Kat Von D Lock-It color correcting eyeshadow primer. It is almost used up, which I am excited about because I have a backup, not a backup, not like another of these, but I have another eyeshadow primer that's ready to go into rotation once this is used up, and I also have a glitter primer that I haven't opened yet either, just haven't felt the need, but this actually convinced me that eyeshadow primers do something, and it didn't, like, something different from concealers. Like, you can, if you just want to blank out the veins on your lid, you can put concealer on your lids, which works, and I have done that, but it doesn't actually make shadows last longer on me, whereas this does. So this converted me to the concept of eye primers. So, next up, foundations. We have my Project Pan foundation, which I have used maybe a quarter of. So, hooray, progress on the Project Pan foundation. It's fine. My opinion of it is getting less harsh as I use it more, which I'm pretty sure is the normal progression of Project Pan. Like, your feelings change over time as you Project Pan. Sometimes they get harsher. Sometimes they get warmer. But you're not going to use a product every day or most days of the week consistently for months at a time and not have some kind of opinion develop by the end of it. So, my experience with Project Pans is that products that I'm actively trying to use up, I generally start out with a mild dislike, but I'm like, I can use this up. And then I figure out how to make it work, and I'm like, okay, this is not as bad as I thought. That's my experience with the Burt's Bees Goodness Glows as well. And then this is my newest foundation, the Milani Conceal and Perfect in 00A Porcelain. I'm actually impressed that I am the color Porcelain in any foundation, because usually the shade Porcelain is 3 to 4 shades too dark. That's a little harsh. Usually it's 2 shades too dark. Brands don't actually look at Porcelain and think, oh, let's name our nearly white and cool toned foundation that. They're like, no, let's try to give the impression that our very yellow toned on the light end of the spectrum, but not in the very fair range. Let's call that Porcelain. That'll work. Too Faced. I'm in the shade Porcelain. It is very full coverage on me. I use a dampened sponge and I shear it out, and I use only one pump, and it is still very full coverage. This lasts a normal work day on me, and it lasts longer if I wear it over this. So I like this. I've only used it a handful of times. This is one that my opinion might change on, but I do like it, and I like the shade match on it, which is important because when you have a full coverage foundation, it's really important that it actually matches you. Next up, we have my favorite foundation, the Too Faced Peach Perfect Comfort Matte Foundation. If this came in my shade. Oh, if this came in my shade, I would have it and probably the BareMinerals original mineral foundation. It's a really nice finish. It's a little too dark and a little too yellow. When they make this in Cloud, I will 100% buy it, even if I still have this left. Just saying, Too Faced. I like this formula, but this is my summer shade. My favorite foundation that I've tried. I can apply it with a brush or a beauty blender. It works great with either one. Right now I lighten it with concealers because I don't have a white foundation mixer, because those don't exist. They exist, but you can only buy them online because no store actually carries them. Yes, thank you. Okay, so next, this is my Becca Under Eye Brightening Corrector. That is a little trial size. I got it in a set with this and also a highlighter, an opal that I gave away because I was like, this is going to be too dark on me. It might not actually be too dark on me, but I would only try opal in a mini because I would be terrified that it would be too dark on me. And why would I do that to myself? So anyway, I got this in a set, and I like it if I'm just like wanting to cover up my dark circles a little bit before running out the house, before running out the door. This is what I reach for. It's it doesn't completely cancel out my dark circles because I have both melanin dark circles, like they're actually brown, and also blue dark circles from blood vessels breaking under the surface of my skin. Hooray! So this deals with the blue being a peachy color, but it doesn't deal with the brown. So if I'm wanting to just, so if I'm really wanting a full coverage, like there's no dark circles under my eyes at all whatsoever, which you can see there are dark circles under my eyes today, then I will layer this with my full coverage concealer, my fullest coverage concealer. Or in extreme cases, I will actually layer this, which is the Anastasia Stick Contour in Banana, which is it's the foundation stick. I can say with confidence, having tried this, that I will not try the foundation stick because it is very dry and very matte, but ooh. Okay, I did not actually spread any lipstick anywhere across my face. Just put my knuckle in it. See, it's great. So this is very yellow, so it does cancel out the brownness of the dark circles. So if I really, really, really want to cover up everything, I layer this, and this, and this. So this is my Too Faced Born This Way Naturally Radiant Concealer. And this is the fullest coverage concealer that I currently own. It's the nicest formula also. It's not too drying. It's a little bit, like it's very creamy, but it stays in place pretty well, especially if you set it with a powder. My last concealer is this NYX HD Studio concealer. Yeah, my packaging broke like the third time I used it. This is my my foundation lightener right now. Oh, that doe foot's trying to come off too. Great. Awesome. I feel like at some point in the near future I'm going to be reduced to trying to get this concealer out with a Q-tip. So there's that. The packaging is not great. You don't get a lot of product with this. This is this is $6. One of the reasons that this is $6 and this is 20 or whatever is that this is 7 milliliters and then this is, well, it's measured in grams, but it's 3 grams. You can see if you hold up the tubes next to each other, this one is a lot smaller than this one. It also looks gray next to the other one. That's interesting. It looks kind of peachy. So this works okay as a shade adjuster. I don't like the formula, and it's still not light enough for me, even though I have it in Alabaster, which is the lightest shade. Good job naming it NYX. I could wish for Porcelain, but Alabaster is also decent. So yeah, the problems with this are many. If I'm going to buy a $6 concealer, it's just going to be the ColourPop one, because I did like that one. It was just too, it just dried down too dark for me. Just way, way, way too dark. Okay. Next up, so that was the last of my concealers. Next up is powders. And this is my first powder. This is my workhorse right now. This is the Wet n Wild Color Icon Bronzer SPF 15 in Reserve Your Cabana. Two things with this. One, this is not a bronzer for anyone. Speaking as someone who is actually the lightest shade or lighter than the lightest shade in any foundation that you can name, other than the Hourglass. The 2 Hourglass foundations with the largest shade range. Foundations with the largest shade range. Other than the Stick and the New foundation. Yeah. So this is a face powder for me. Like, seriously, it is a slightly glowy face powder. Some people use this as a highlighter. I could see that working for me, for my normal to dry skin and my pale self. This works great as something to set my foundation into place, or to blend my blush and bronzer into each other. Like, bronzer. Seriously, though. Yeah, this, I discovered this when we moved. I found this behind the toilet in my bathroom when they took the Space Saver organizer out. So, which used to be where I kept my makeup. So it must have fallen off and fallen behind there at some point. But yes, I'm very happy that I discovered this when I did and that I never got rid of it, because this is a great finishing powder. A little bit, adds a little bit of glow, but it'll still set things down and not look too matte. This is my next powder. This is the BareMinerals Mineral Veil. I stored upside down. I have used a decent amount of this, I feel like. I've used maybe half of it. It's a fine powder. I use it for kind of the same purpose as this Wet n Wild bronzer, which is as a finishing powder to buff the color products into one another and to make sure that everything's looking, you know, smooth and not harsh, and it'll set things down in a pinch. This is not a good setting powder, though, I will say. Yes, I store it upside down. It's so that the germs that are in the cap don't fall back into the powder. So this is not a good setting powder, but it is a good finishing powder. I use it for that purpose. I prefer the pressed Wet n Wild bronzer as a finishing powder. One, because it's not quite as matte, and two, because it's pressed. It's not as messy. And then this is my one powder foundation. This is the Cover FX Mineral Foundation in, well, go back in your home, in N10. And this is a little bit dark for me. I am probably actually N0 in the Cover FX. I am happy that I got it in N10 because it's not, like, I am typically going to use this powder in the summertime anyway, when my skin is a little bit darker. So this pairs with this really nicely. This is my summer shade, the Peach Perfect and Swan. This is my summer shade powder. I can use it to set, this concealer in particular is a hair light for my skin and a little bit too yellow. Like, in particular, this is a little bit too yellow. So I like this foundation to kind of correct the color. And it does that very nicely. It sets the concealer very nicely. It's, you know, it's kind of a middle ground between my two other powders, where it's a little bit more matte than the bronzer, which would have been a bronzer. There are actual bronzer shades of the Color Icon bronzer. Reserve Your Cabana is not one of them. Let us be clear. Anyway, so it's a little more matte than the glowy bronzer, and it's a little more radiant than the Mineral Veil. So, yeah, I find that this is a really nice powder to set with, and I even have a little dent in there, which maybe you can see. Maybe you can see it from that angle. It's difficult to see, but I have used this enough to actually put a dent in it. We will see if a pan develops of its own accord, because this is not actively in a pan right now. But yes, I do like this powder. It's a nice powder. I'm actually happy with all of my powders. Like, I give Mineral Veil a hard time, but like, it's my only translucent finishing powder. So it's my only translucent powder at all. And like, sometimes I'm really happy with the color and tone of my face and I don't want to change anything, and in that situation I would reach for Mineral Veil over the other two. So that was my base products makeup collection. I hope you enjoyed or learned something, or both. Like, comment, subscribe, or do whatever you feel like. Thanks for watching, and goodbye for now.